There's so many different things out there that people tell you, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, color correction. There's so many different steps that are involved. I'm gonna break it down right now really quick into 5 steps for you guys. All right, so the first thing you have here is you come in here and you look at this and you're like, something's a little off here. When something looks a little green, a little purple, a little too blue, a little too red, it's usually gonna be your white balance. So that's the first thing you wanna do. You're gonna wanna have your Lumetri Scopes panel open. If you don't have this, go up to window, you'll find Lumetri Scopes right there, as well as your Lumetri color panel, which is right over here. You're gonna go straight into that first clip. First thing you wanna do, the project panel over here. Hit Control, click, and you're gonna wanna come down to adjustment layer. I do only adjustment layers for all my color grading. It's just so much easier to move things around if you really need to. So it's gonna be a lot easier to delete stuff, change stuff around. We're gonna go straight into this adjustment layer right here. You're gonna click on it like that. So as soon as you get this clip here, you're gonna take a look at it and you're gonna have your Lumetri Scopes open. This is RGB for it. This is basically going to tell you, where everything's balanced out at. Obviously, we want to balance these out. So we're going to take the blue over here in the Lumetri color panel and we're going to move the blue up just a tad, just so it balances out with that red. We're going to make this super simple. Now the green's too high. Take the green, move it down to purple a little bit more, and your tint is going to be color corrected. Then you can take a look at this. This is your vector scope. As long as that section right there is pretty much in the center, that's where you want to be. So that's pretty much color corrected, which brings me to step 2, which is going to be bringing back all your contrast, bringing back all your highlights, your shadows. You want to kind of sauce up the image. This is where the image is going to look completely different. First thing I do, come over to curves here, and you're going to click 3 points on these 3 lines right here. You pull this one up to increase your highlights, and you pull this one down to deepen your shadows. Most of the time, if you kind of overexposed a little bit, you're gonna want to bring your midtones down slightly with your highlights too. And you're gonna want to create that S curve. So now that we got that S curve here, it's kind of what we want. Now that you have your S curve, you're kind of bringing some of that contrast back. You're gonna come back over to basic correction. Obviously, our original clip looks like this, a little blown out, and we can just take these highlights and drag them down. Boost the whites a little bit, lower the shadows. Come over here. You see your Luma waveform. This is your blacks, your midtones are in the middle, your shadows, your highlights, your whites at the top. You don't want anything hitting 100, you don't want anything hitting 0. You want to make sure it's somewhere in between. We have a lot hitting the 100 spot here, just bringing down the whites a tad, just so they're not hitting 100, but you want to kind of leave them pretty close. You never want anything hitting 0. So if anything hits 0, you want to bump this up just a tad. And now you have most of your contrast back. Everything's pretty much set up the way we need. Now that we have our contrast, that's going to bring us to step 3, which is getting the colors dialed in correctly. Going back to your curves. I do mess around with the hue versus hue curve, which is probably one of my favorite things to switch up. If you really want that summery look, especially for this piece of footage that I got here, you're going to want to change your blues and you're going to want to change your oranges, reddish, magenta. Anything that's a regular blue, you can put a point right here and a point right here. Okay, so that's pretty much your blue section there. And you're going to take another point and you're going to rise it up like that. Anything that was a regular blue is now going to become like a tealish look to it. And then you got your reds. It looks about right there. So it's the little differences that kind of change everything. We got the color correction. We got our white balance set correctly. We got everything looking great. We got our basic grade here. It's going to bring us to step 4, which is another great thing that you can do for any of your footage. I'm going to go to the color wheels, and we're going to apply some tints to the shadows, the highlights, and the midtones. It's going to give it more of that summer vibe, so we're just going to take this right here, we're going to go to the shadows, and we're going to go slightly down to add some teal to our shadows. So the trick is with all this stuff, just keep it really light. Don't go too far, because obviously if we go too far, it's going to look like that. You don't want it looking like that. You obviously don't want it looking like that either. We got our teal dialed in on the shadows there, right in that corner. We're going to come over here to the highlights, and we're gonna boost those to a more orangish, reddish look. Pretty crispy, pretty nice. Brings us to step 5, where the true magic happens. You're gonna apply your effect Dehancer right on top of that. It's a plugin that I absolutely love. It's the best plugin I think I've ever used for color grading. Command seed this onto the top, or just option click, drag, drop it. But you're gonna wanna delete that Lumetri color effect on the top one, otherwise it's gonna look like that. You don't want it looking like that. So we're gonna go back here, Dehancer. We're gonna drag that onto that top layer. But this is really gonna bring your image to life, make it look super, super vintage. and super film-like. But this is the secret sauce, so if you don't have Dehancer, I have a 10% off discount code in the description of this video. You can go pick it up and you'll have all these effects. Go check this video out. They explain some of the effects they have, some of the crazy stuff you can do with this plugin. Halation. This is what I love for especially summer footage, or especially any type of golden hour footage. And it's gonna give you this orange kind of look on the side. Then the second effect I usually apply is bloom, and that is gonna change this completely to a very soft look. And you can mask mode this on. You can kind of see what everything's on here. Sometimes I'll go this much, sometimes I'll just go 16mm, but it basically applies the bloom effect to your highlights. If I turn it on and off, you can kind of see it's a very soft, like diffused glow to everything, which makes it super like dreamy, super smooth look. That's pretty much the final look. That's the color grading process that I usually go through. It's pretty simple.